In this video, I will give my critique on the psychology/therapy profession. So it's a bit of a actually continuation of the last video. So really, what I think is that the whole private sector of the healing profession should be abolished and completely overhauled and changed to public service only, because it just doesn't work. And I've been on the receiving end of therapy. I've seen many psychologists, therapists. I'm not saying they didn't help me at all, but overall it's like I feel robbed all over again. It's really changing one form of abuse to another. So consider the amount of fees they charge. It's usually in the range of like $200 per 50 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on who you're talking to, but generally in that range. And most people don't have insurance for this, as far as I know. Of course, there are many who do have insurance, but even the ones who do, their insurance aren't usually very good, so eventually they have to pay out of pocket. So consider that the kind of people that would pay such fees to talk to a therapist are usually in a pretty desperate situation. These are not like people who can manage things on their own or have other supports in their life. In general, it's people who are quite isolated and have nobody to talk to. These are the kind of people who would see a therapist or psychologist, but they're being charged such exorbitant fees just to talk to them. This is like another form of injustice for people who have suffered chronic abuse, usually, perhaps their family of origin, or whatever life circumstance they're in, they're isolated. That's why they would pay such exorbitant fees in the first place. So, do you see, what I'm saying? It's literally people who have already been taken from, perhaps most of their life, and they're getting further robbed by these so-called healers. This is just wrong on so many levels to me. And not only that, there are some people in that profession who not only cannot understand or empathize with this, they feel entitled to the fees they charge, and as well to some kind of ongoing relationship with their patient/client. And now this is really getting into some dark territory, because I've met therapists who would pretend to be my friend, and even more than that, it's like love bombing, but it's fake. They're just acting. They know as soon as you stop paying them, they don't even know you. That's literally what happens, where they pretend to be like a friend and sounding board and more, but as soon as you stop paying them, they act like they don't even know you. So they know what they're doing. It's actually a form of manipulation to me. When a psychologist does that pretends to be your friend, this is actually corrupt, because they know they're not your friends. They're just in a transactional relationship with you, and it's fake. But some of them will call it real. They will tell to your face that this is a real relationship, but it's so far from the truth. And when you confront them about it, when you choose to end the relationship, it's all they can say to you is oh, I'm restricted by the board that I cannot interact with anyone outside of my practice. And they will repeat this line over and over to you. So who do you think their board is protecting? Is it really protecting you, or the people in it, the psychologists? And how convenient is it that they can also justify the fees they charge by, relegating this responsibility to this board or association they're in. So anytime you try to bring up about the fees being too high, they just say stuff like, that's the mandated fee. Oh, there's been an increase, so it's mandated. So it's as though they have nothing to do with it. I mean, if you're taking such fees, you're participating. So how can you just totally, renounce your own responsibility? This is a very clever kind of corruption, and I see right through it. I'm not saying all therapists are like this, but I've met some ones that are very clever and very good at manipulating their clients. So I'm warning you guys, if you're lonely or isolated in this world, and one day you reach out to a therapist, just watch out. They might manipulate you into a fake relationship. And somehow our society has normalized this. This is seen as normal, but it's really not normal. They're just using you. They don't love you. They don't care about you, really. It's just an act. That's what I experienced. I mean, there might be some care, but it's very limited, actually. So, this whole profession really should just be a form of public service, because the structure that, it has is completely backwards. You're taking from people who have already been sucked dry in this world, and, you're also tricking them into thinking that there's some real, love and care in there. But then when they find out it's just a transactional relationship, this is very traumatic. It's like another trauma that I have to heal from. That's exactly what I have to do. So not only did I have to heal from my previous trauma, I have to heal from the trauma from my therapist. This is the truth. Again, I'm not saying they can't provide some immediate relief. Of course, they can do that. But overall, it's like most of the healing has really been on my own and with spirits. And really, most of the healing is from people who didn't charge any money at all, like videos and books. Well, minimal amounts of money. So, really, the therapy profession should just be, someone should just get a salary, like a fixed salary, and not be, affected by how many clients they see or how often they see them. Like, this is the wrong incentive. And because of the high fees they charge, I'm sure they attract some people who don't go into it with the right intentions. This is like lawyer fees. And you're also giving the message to people that you're this, special person that deserves such high, exorbitant fees. And that's just not the truth. Because a lot of these therapists, they're not very healed themselves. They're actually being healed by their patients. And I've been in those roles as well, where I'm paying them to heal them. Basically. So, this is what's happening in this world. I'm not saying every healer is like this. There are, of course, many exceptions. But overall, it's like they're kind of blind to this very obvious thing where really they're just further taking from people who already don't have very much. Because if you're someone who's trying to escape, an abusive situation, you probably don't have a lot of financial resources already. Or if you're just working a low-wage job, $200 an hour, that's an insane amount to that kind of person. It's further trauma. Most people don't usually have insurance to cover this. And it's funny because I live in Canada, and recently there's Christopher Freeland passed a bill of trying to ease affordability for Canadians, and one of the top things on there was waiving GST for psychologist fees. And I'm like, wow, you think that's gonna help? It's a drop in the bucket for what they charge. I just laugh at that. How can that be? You really think that's gonna help? So, I really think that there should not be any privatization of the mental health profession. Because it's not healing. And of course, there's some overlap between this and spirituality as well. A lot of spiritual teachers charge a lot of money for their time. So there's some overlap there. And of course, there's degrees to this. So I'm just sharing this because it's very obvious to me that the people who are already, deeply traumatized should not be, further taken from. That's not healing. There's really no way around this, as far as I can see. That's all.